This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with SB Sports and Chaco. We're delighted to be joined from Bolton with Dublin-born Irish fighter Liam Gaynor. How are you?
How are you? How are you? Good. I'm good.
I think, as I was sort of saying before we started, it's been a massive, obviously, month for Irish boxing. We've obviously 3 IBO kings now, and
Oh
I
yeah,
guess
it's
I
brilliant.
guess there's more heads and more attention, obviously, turning the Irish boxing in a way. You're obviously back out in action in just over 3 weeks' time. You're going to have your
Yep.
third fight in Ireland as a pro, and your first in nearly 5 years.
I
Obviously, on
know.
the Ireland of Ireland. I'm sure
It's
you're excited.
oh yeah, I'm delighted. And obviously on televised event, main event, I couldn't have asked for more. I'm delighted that I'm on such a big card.
You obviously initially started out as a pro, and it was actually against a fellow Irish fighter, and
Yeah,
obviously Belfast
Alex.
journeyman
Yeah,
Alec Baza. I get
brilliant. Tough lad. I started off a lightweight as well. Started off lightweight, just comfortable, not bothering about making weight. But now that I've learned the name of the game and what weight I should be, I'm a featherweight now. A featherweight, yeah.
it's I guess it sort of come full circle for you, obviously, from your pro fight to your 11th pro fight. You sort of
Yep.
started off, obviously, your first 2 fights in Ireland, and then you relocated to England. Obviously, how did that come about? Just for more opportunities, I guess, with Irish boxing in the south in
Yeah.
particular.
So just the Irish boxing scene just went dead, obviously, as everyone knows, and there wasn't any fights coming up for me, and if there was, it was every 6 to 7 months, and it was just trying to make a living off that, and I had a full-time job, and trying to just get on with life as well as be a professional boxer. It's hard, So I was like, I'll make the move to England and see how I get on. Through my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law lives over here. He invited me over for a few weeks, and I enjoyed it. And then I'm stuck here now.
You're
I'm
stuck.
stuck here, yeah.
I guess that probably shows testament, obviously, at 18, 19 years of age, to relocate to England. They sort of sometimes people are scared to bite the bullet and do that at a young age. I guess probably that shows testament in the person that you are, and how much you believe in your professional career. You wanted to go somewhere, you were going to get plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, if I wanted to do it, I have to do it full time. I have to put everything into it. I don't want to have a fight every 6 months and be, oh, I'm professional. That's it's not the way to build your career. I moved over here in the end of January 2018, I think it is, and by November I had 3 fights. So in that space, it's that's great. That's great, and that's what I wanted. That's why I made the move.
I guess the sort of the fear for obviously everybody came obviously in the pandemic in 2020, obviously that period of time, as a young boxer and not getting fights, and I guess so much uncertainty in the world, because it affected everybody. Did you sort of have that sort of fear then that obviously so much time out of the ring that you might have to sort of look elsewhere? I guess people are going, how am I going to get back boxing, particularly in the smaller hall circuit? It's really hard for it to kickstart back again because a lot of it's televised. Did you
Yeah,
sort of did you get sort of any opportunities sort of then that came past you were, say, going in as an away fighter against someone? Because opportunities came for people where it was like, somebody's been out of the ring for a period of time, we'll try and offer them a few grand and give them a fight as an away opponent.
yeah. So I actually got offered one of the Eddie Hearn backyard shows. Obviously, it was in mid-pandemic, so I wasn't fit. I wasn't on weight, so I had to tone it down, unfortunately. Obviously, looking back now, I'm like, oh, I should have just got in, but listen, I don't put my life at risk, and getting against some big up-and-coming fighter and get hurt, So, yeah, I had to tone it down, but I've built on that, and I've made me wins. I've got me wins now, and I've gone from there. Yeah.
I guess, it's a fighter will never really sort of try and turn down any opportunity to fight because that's what you're doing. You're
No,
paid to.
no, definitely not. But obviously, when you're not away and you're not fit, you don't take an 8 round fight, and you can't even do two. So
I guess that's where your team comes into question sometimes, where they can make the mature decision for you sometimes and say, well, look, you've still got your stabilizers on your pro career,
Yeah,
still trying to start out. You don't want to be taking an opportunity and it they completely shatter your confidence.
yeah, exactly. I have a great team around me. You know, they always talk to me. Oh, well, we need to talk about this fight. We need to talk about that route, this and that. And obviously, this opportunity came up through Mark Dunlop, who's putting this show on, who I'm very thankful for. And yeah, I'm delighted I'm going this path, this route now.
Like you've obviously since sort of since you come back to the pandemic, it's going to be your fifth fight in 11 months, sort of in the same sort of time period. Obviously, this big Colm Murphy's obviously sixth fight within that time period, where he's obviously only starting out as a pro. The sort of fight was sort of, I guess, sort of amalgamating before the Farrell and Murphy fight on the Colm Bill in August. How did it sort of come about that it was sort of, was it put to you that sort of maybe the opportunity of fighting the winner? How did the sort of wheels start in motion to build in this fight?
Well, I always keep an eye on the boxing, the Irish boxing scene. You know, especially your Irish titles and your Celtic titles. You know, we had the feeling we're going down the Celtic route. Just who against the was the question. And then by saying that Murphy and Farrell were fighting for the featherweight Celtic title, and I said that's a very interesting fight. I fancy my chances with both, I suppose. I didn't really watch much of them until that fight, and then I was very interested, you know. So
I guess it's like anything, at the smaller weights, particularly in Ireland, sometimes there's not as many fighters, and particularly it nearly sort of goes in a gulf of level. You're either obviously at domestic level or it's too far ahead, like the likes of your Mick
yeah,
Collins.
of course, of
Um,
course, you can come
so
up quick.
so I guess it's sort of looking for that opportunity sometimes. Like I guess when you watch that sort of fight, as a fan, sort of and watching it, I guess it was good. It was all action. I guess uh, Rudy Farrell was already written off quite a lot before the fight, but he sort of dug in, and I guess probably
Yeah, he's
the
class in
occasion
the
probably caught
underdog.
they
Yeah,
both. Fighting in the SSE arena, they were on very early, but the fact that two young fighters at 22 years of age in a big arena, I guess they probably both didn't show the very best in the night. What did you
no,
sort of
definitely
take from the fight?
not. Yeah, they're two good fighters. You know, it was good to watch. It was good to watch, and it was good to see how they reacted on the big stage. And I suppose I don't really expect much different because we are on TG4. We are main event, you know. So it'll be interesting to see what comes about it, you know.
I guess that you've obviously had one blemish, obviously in your career so far, and it's not a bad blemish to have, because Ed Harrison's obviously a fighter that either turns up and puts in his best in the night, or obviously he can just look mediocre, as sometimes they do. Do you sort of take confidence now at the fact that you've tasted defeat as a pro, you know what it's like to taste the defeat, and that's made you probably hungrier?
Yeah, no, definitely. Listen, a loss is a learning curve. You know, you should never take a loss as a negative thing. You know, I've learned a lot from that fight, and I'm sure my coaches and my team have learned a lot from that fight as well. And they put a lot into the training camp for that. You know, it was just before COVID as well. It was just before COVID, so I think everyone's head was sort of everywhere else, and then obviously got the loss. And listen, I worked on it, and I've gotten a lot more wins since. So that's that's what I'm working on.
Sort of looking at your career as well, it's sort of, you've been in with the dangerous, obviously, Brett Fido, and obviously, more recently this year, obviously, in with the dangerous Johnny Phillips. Do you see that these sort of development fights have obviously put you in good standings now going into, your second, it's going to be your second fight at featherweight and your second in a row? Is these sort of fights built and matured you in a way that makes you very confident going into November 19th?
Yeah, definitely. Same again. I've like the Ed Harrison fight. I've learned a lot from Johnny Phillips and Brett Fido. You know, they're two tough fighters. They put it on you, and these are the tests that I want in my boxing career. You know, I don't want to be look back and say, "Oh, I fought a load of journeyman." You know, I'm a professional boxer. You know, like, I want these tough tests, and I want to get my name out there like everyone else. You know, so I've definitely learned from them, and I feel like I have that experience over Murphy now.
Obviously, the fight card was obviously brought forward a week. It was obviously supposed to be initially on the 26th of November in the Europa Hotel. It's been brought
Yeah,
forward a week. Do you see that? Do you sort of see that as, I guess it's testament to obviously every fighter that's on the card that everybody's able to go a week earlier.
yeah.
I guess it saves you less preparation time. Sort of sometimes you have too much time to think, over routine and how the fight's going to go. That bringing it forward a week is that obviously a good thing for you, or where do you see?
Listen, it doesn't change. It doesn't change much. Like my weight's fine, preparation's good. Like the week early doesn't really affect much. Obviously it does clash with the Dublin show. There's a show in Dublin the same
Mhm.
night, which obviously be interesting. Because there hasn't been a Dublin show in years. So
Yeah,
obviously
March
if like
2019.
yeah,
March
yeah, yeah,
2019 was the last one, so it's I
yeah.
guess everybody's got eyes on it, and probably more so for yourself because you'd like to get back boxing in Dublin again.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. That's what I saw. I'm curious about that show, how that goes. Obviously, my own fight as well. And then see if I can get back to Dublin for a nice little homecoming.
It'd definitely be very nice. Obviously, on your opponent, Colin Murphy, do you know much about him, or I guess it's just sort of from what you've watched probably since of him?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just what I've watched since. Obviously, you have to prepare for the fights, don't we? But yeah, no, I don't know much about Colin myself.
Obviously, I know he's a couple of years younger than you. I think if you sort of go from what you can find in BoxRec, it maybe looks like he's, I don't know, on BoxRec, I think it only has you listed as 2 fights. How many fights did you have as an amateur?
Oh, as an amateur, I had about maybe 60. I was 60 odd fights. I was fighting every week since I'm 12. So I was definitely kept busy. I was part of Kilmainham Boxing Club in Tala under Stephen Kavanagh. That was there were some good times. I learned a lot from that.
Definitely, it was about half a lifetime ago that you obviously started out.
I know, I know. I always say I've been punched in the head for 12 years. It's very healthy. It's very healthy.
And I guess more than anything, it's obviously two young fighters. Obviously, you obviously look to have a high pace in a fight. Colin Murphy, obviously, I'm not sure how much you know about him, but he's a sort of guy you give him a cup of coffee and he'll go and run half a marathon. So he seems very, very fit as well. I guess when you've two fit fighters like that, it's just going to be all action.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's what I'm expecting. If he wants to box, I can box. If he wants to fight, I can fight. I've learned a lot in my 10 pro fights. And yeah, we'll see what comes the 19th of November.
And we sort of mentioned there as well, obviously on TG4, TG4, as some people call it. It's
Yep.
it's it's probably you probably say it's your biggest fight. You know, in general, obviously your biggest fight you did. Obviously, it's your first 8 rounder.
Yep, definitely.
But obviously fighting on a massive platform at TG4, anybody that can't get to the fight, they'll be able to tune in and probably I guess more people will know who you are through the fight.
Oh yeah, no, I'm delighted that's on television. These are the shows that, as I said, these are the shows that I want. And I want to get my name out there and get the win, and we can go from there.
Colin Murphy obviously interviewed him the other week, and he was obviously saying that you were hoping to use him as a springboard to obviously a Campbell Hatton fight. Now I think you've been sparring Campbell recently, have you?
Yeah, it's funny when people start throwing punches at you, how much we can respect each other, I suppose. No, Campbell's a nice lad. I have nothing against Campbell. Um, we just see where this fight goes, and then we can go from there, I suppose.
I guess it's like anything nowadays, that you can use boxers in certain clout. They obviously because Campbell Hatton, in some ways people think that he's living off his father's name. Obviously, his father, Ricky Hatton, is probably regarded as one of the best, fighters that we've had in
Yeah,
the UK and Ireland. Whenever you can use a fighter's name to springboard your own career, sometimes it's not that you do it out of malice. It's more the fact of put your name in the spotlight more. It's not that you do
yeah.
it for bad intentions. It's like, I want to fight. I want this opportunity. Because let's face it, every boxer wants to make as much as they can from the sport.
Oh, of course, of course. That's like at the end of the day, we can have our full time jobs, but we want to enjoy what we do. We want to make multi-millions from being boxers, you know. That'd be great. We all want to be the next Canelo, you know. But no, listen, if that fight came up, I'll fight anyone, really. I'm easy. But if the fight came up, you know, I'd definitely take it.
Definitely, I say it's sometimes it can be a short career, it can be a long career in the sport. So obviously you're going to take the opportunities and you get the chance.
Take the opportunities.
You definitely do. So obviously, finally, then obviously on November 19th, how do you see the fight going? Is it just a sort of a case that you not make predictions? How do you sort of see the fight planning out yourself?
I reckon it's going to be an early start. Someone's going to get hurt in the middle of the fight, and in a quick finish at the end, maybe, possibly. But listen, we'll see what comes at me now, 19th of November.
Definitely. And obviously I see you've quite a lot of sponsors obviously on your fight t-shirt there. I always like to give people.
Yeah, definitely. And sure, you should see the back as well.
On the back. It's like a shop. It's like a shop almost. But I guess, you know, that's the important parts of boxing sometimes, because, you know, without sponsorship you obviously can't, you know, earn, you know, you can't fight and things like that. Like not only medicals are there, obviously preparing for fights and everything else. I always like to apologize in advance, but obviously if there's any of your sponsors that you'd like to shout out, I always like to apologize because I haven't planned this for you and don't want to leave someone out and then them feeling going, I'm not sponsoring you again because you didn't shout me out.
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm on the spot, right? We have Elite Boxing. I trained there. We have ARG Telecommunication. Stephen Maids from Dublin. He's been sponsoring me since the very start. Like, I can't thank him enough. Here we have Hilton Smythe. They got on board when I moved over here. Here we got Juma, DA Techs. There's a few more. There's definitely a few more there. I do apologize if I forget, but no, I can't thank them enough. Everyone helps me out so much. And listen, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be in this position. I wouldn't be talking to you. I wouldn't be fighting for a Celtic title now come 3 weeks time. You know, so.
And finally, obviously, I want to mention obviously fans. Do you have, because obviously you're based in England sometimes, you know, fans, particularly in the south, you know, in Dublin, maybe find it harder to get the fights. Do you have a lot of support coming up on the night?
Oh yeah, and you know, this is the part I was worried about when Mark offered me the show, and I was like, oh, I don't know where I'll sell tickets because people from Dublin don't travel over here to watch me fight, and then people from England, will they buy tickets the way they did have over here? And they have, you know, so people are traveling up from Dublin and people are flying over from England, and I'm delighted with the support. So it's gonna be a loud crowd come the 19th of November.
You're not obviously going to be the only Southern obviously fighter in action on the night. You've obviously Owen Duffy obviously taking on Owen O'Neill in another sort of north v south battle, and obviously John Cooney, who's obviously based in Dublin but originally from England. So there's going to be a good mix. It's sort of like a north v south sort of rivalry. And let's face it, we both know that the Irish fans are the loudest and proudest there. It's going to make for an amazing occasion on the 19th.
Oh yeah. So it's gonna be a loud night, and I'm looking forward to the 19th of November now.
Definitely. Well, listen, Liam, obviously, we'll thank you coming on and having a chat with us. It's always good to get a bit of insight in the lead up to sort of fight week. I'm sure we'll obviously catch you in fight week activities in Belfast. We hope the next 3 weeks of your camp go really, really well.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in Belfast in a few weeks' time.
I'll see you in Belfast.
All right, Liam. Cheers. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.